Today we are going to try to solve the LeetCode contest this week. This is the first problems and this is the problems that we are going to talk about in this video. So it's about the intersections of multiple arrays. Basically, we're going to read the problems first, then give high-level explanations about how it works, and then at the end, we're going to go into the solutions. Okay, so the problem is that first is the input, that we got a 2D integer arrays nums, where for each member of it, it's actually another array where it contains distinct positive integers. Now the question is, we need to write a function that returns the list of integers that are present in each of the arrays. So the integer should be appears in all of the arrays inside these nums. Okay, and then we have to return it in ascending order. So those are the highlighted points here. These are the things, the key points of how to approach this problem. So we know that it will be distinct, and then we also know that it will be it has to be inside of these three arrays, and then at the end we need to sort it out. Okay, so how to solve this? To solve this, one of the way is, the questions is, how do we can create a functions or a logic that actually can track that a number is in all of those things. Okay, so the way to do this is actually to think about the data structure. One of the things that always comes to mind when we try to find something that is already there or not is by using a sort of a hash map. We will write this solution in Python, so that will be equivalent to the ubiquitous dictionary in the in the Python, right? So using the key of the dictionary, and if we track uh, these numbers as the key in the dictionary, we know whether it's already exists or not, right? And if it is already exists, for example, we can count it up, because the other things that we need to know is whether all of the array contains that numbers, right? So if all of the array contains that numbers, then that's part of the solution that we need to return. That's why we need to count it up. We detect it using the hash map. We know whether it's already in whether it's actually in all of the array or not by counting up. If the counters reach the same numbers of the arrays inside the nums, it means that number is in all of the array. Then we can return it. Right? The one more things that is helpful why that works is because all of this array contains distinct positive integers. Imagine if there is a duplicate there, then that won't work, the solution I mentioned just now, right? Because if there is duplicates here, then the criteria that everything is in its array is equal when the counter is equal to num of array doesn't work. For example, if 3 is actually appears twice here, then actually there are 4 trees if we count it up, and that criteria where the number counter equal to the number of nums will not work. So all this, whenever you work on this, find the emphasized words. In this contest is actually they help us by creating this. Sometimes when, for example, if you are facing an interview, technical interview, they don't give you this bolded number, for example, uh, because, for example, in one of FANG interview that I'm actually ever faced with, they will just give you things in words if it is a face-to-face meeting, in on-site interview, or if it is a virtual meeting, they just give you a copy paste into a coder pad where there is of course no highlight there. So one of the important thing to approach a problem, find the things that is unique about the problems. Okay, now about the solution. So basically the idea is using hash map, count it up, criteria when it's equal to nums. Okay, and I knew that I can find that because of these things, the distinct positive that in each array. And that's us the two key points how we come up with the idea. And of course the basic knowledge. This is something that you get to understand once you are doing this often. You get to know a pattern when there is a problem. Oh, probably we can do this, probably we can do that. Okay, now comes to how to write it in Python. Basically I already prepared it. um, First of all, I'm preparing these ints. Basically, this is how we initiate a dictionary and Python, and rest is for containing the result. Why we have these two? Because the first one is I'm going to use this map to actually count it up. You remember that we are going to use a dictionary to actually count up the numbers of its number. Okay, and then this result later on will be the filtered out. This is when it gets into the criteria where the length of the nums is equal, the length of the number that we are looking for is equal to the length of the array, then the number of array inside the nums. Okay, so then it is a for loop. We will looping for each of the array inside the nums, and then for that each array inside the nums we are going to loop through the number inside of it. And then what happened here is the first step, which is the counting part. Okay, so we're going to count it up. The counting part is actually like, if it is, this is just initialization. So if it is not there yet, the number is basically not in our hash map that we are going to use for the counting up, then we're going to initialize it with 0. Otherwise we're going to increase it. So this is the counting section. Okay, so that's how we got it count up. Then this is when we decide to filter this number out into the solutions or not, which is when the numbers that we just counted up, the counter is actually equal to the length of nums. Okay, when it is equal, then it means that number is in all of the array, so it's part of the solutions. When it does, then we can just add it in to the part of the solutions. So this is the filter out for solution step. So the reason why we use another dictionary here, because we want to avoid duplications, right? Although in this case we will not have duplications actually, so yeah, we can actually use a list here, but let's continue that. I don't think that will help a lot in terms of the what you call it, the time complexities, but of course there will be maybe simpler in writing. Essentially we need to filter it out, the part of the solution. So while we do this loop, we also get all the solutions. So once we get into the solutions, we're going to have it, we're going to retrieve it. This is the way to get all the keys and then convert it into a normal list in Python, and then we sort it out, because remember the questions that it should be in ascending order. After all that is said and done, we usually, when I'm doing a contest like this, I will try it first, sanity check for the logic. So this is using the sample test cases, and then we find the answer is 3, 4, 4, and then the expected is correct. So basically, this is a quick check whether we are doing it right or not. Seems like we are doing it right. Now in when the contest happened, actually this expected answer will be blank. You won't have it, but this is already outside of the contest time, so there it is for us. Then after all is said and done, we submit it and see whether yeah, it's accepted. So that's it for today. So that's how we solve this problem contest 2248 intersections of multiple array. Thank you for listening in. Bye.